So next part is LTE. Long form of LTE is long term evolution. First we will see the introduction of LTE. So in 2004, as WCDMA system were inefficient to provide support for high spectral efficiencies and data rates required for broadband access, the 3GPP, that is third generation partner, started developing new technology evolution. They developed entirely new packet data network with MIMO, that is multiple input, multiple output, OFDMA and OFDM support. It is 4G LTE. The evolution towards the LTE leads to the better spectrum efficiency, higher bandwidth, better coverage and interworking with other access or backend system. It proposes this achievement with all IP network. The LTE support better mobile broadband. Later releases of LTE are known as LTE Advanced. So the standardization effort started in late 2004 with HSPA, that is downlink and uplink. The ultra URTA will remain highly competitive for several years. The IEEE is standardizing a mobile WiMAX treat for losing competitive edges. Now the LTE focus enhancement of the UTRA, optimization of the architecture to ensure the continued competitiveness on the 3GPP technologies for the future. The LTE was the first and only technology recognized by the Next Generation Mobile Network Alliance to meet its broad requirement. The target deployment in 2000. LTE focused the enhancement of UTRA, its architecture to ensure the continued competitiveness of 3GPP technologies for the future. It was the first and only technology recognized by the Next Generation Mobile Network Alliance to meet its broad requirement. So target deployment in 2010. Some specifications of LTE. So the switching method, first parameter is switching method. Its specification is packet switching for both voice and data. Then duplexing, here duplexing is FDD and TDD. Then channel bandwidth. The channel bandwidth is 1 MHz, 3 MHz, 4, 5, 10, 15 and 20 MHz. Peak data rate, for uplink it is 75 Mbps, for downlink 300 Mbps. Then peak spectrum efficiency, for uplink it is 3.75 and for downlink it is 15. Then access technology used, for uplink it is SC-FDMA, downlink it is OFDMA. Then modulation, for QPSK it is 16 QAM modulation here used is QPSK 16 QAM and 64 QAM. Spectrum is licensed 2000 band and mobility is full 3GPP mobility with target up to 350 km per hour. So these are some specifications of LTE. Then service capabilities of LTE are the reduced cost per bit, that is it improves the spectrum efficiency. Reduced cost of backhaul, that is transmission in UTRN. Then increased service provisioning, more services at lower cost with better user experience. Then focus on delivery of services utilizing IP. Reduced latency to 10 millisecond round trip time between user equipment and the base station, and to less than 100 millisecond transition time from inactive to active. Then increase the support of Q0S for the various types of services. Increase the cell edge bit rate. Reasonable terminal power consumption and flexibility of use of existing and new frequency bands. So these are the service capabilities. Then system capabilities. The downlink peak data rate up to 326 Mbps with 20 MHz bandwidth. Uplink peak data rate up to 86.4 Mbps with 20 MHz bandwidth. Operation in both TDD and FDD modes. Variable duplex technology within bands as well as between bands. Then scalable bandwidth up to 20 MHz covering 1.4, 2.5, 5, 10, 15 and 20 MHz. Increase spectral efficiency over a release 6 HSPA. Enhance the bit rate for MBMS. Then LTE performance requirement. First is the first point is data rate. So instantaneous downlink peak data rate of 100 megabits per second in 20 megahertz downlink spectrum, that is 5 bits per second. Then instantaneous uplink peak data rate of 50 megabits in per second in 20 megahertz uplink spectrum. Then the cell range is 5 km optimal size, 30 km sizes with reasonable performance, and up to 100 km cell size supported with acceptable performance. Then the cell capacity is up to 200 active users per cell. Then the next is mobility. So it has optimized for low mobility but supports a high speed. Latency, user space less than 5 milliseconds, control plane than 50 milliseconds. Also it has an improved spectrum efficiency, cost effective migration from release 6 universal terrestrial radio access, that is UTRA radio interface and architecture. Also improved broadcasting, IP optimized, scalable bandwidth of 20 MHz, 15 MHz, stay in 5 and less than 5 MHz, coexistence with latency standard, that is user can transparently start a call or transfer of data in an area using LTE standard, and when there is no coverage it continue the operation without any action on their part using GSM GPRS. Now we will see some key features of LTE. So the features of first feature of LTE is multiple access scheme. So first feature is multiple access scheme, downlink OFDMA, uplink single carrier FDMA, that is SCFDMA. Then adaptive modulation and coding, DL modulation, QPSK 16QAM 64QA. Also UL modulation, that is downlink and UL means uplink modulation, QPSK and 160QAM. Real 6 turbo code, coding rate of 1/3 to 8 state constituent encoder and a container free internal interviewer. Bandwidth scalability for efficient operation in differently sized allocated spectrum band, and the possible support for operating as a single frequency network to support MBMS. So these are the key features of LTE. There are some more features, that is multiple antenna technology for enhanced data rate and performance, ARQ with RLC sublayer and hybrid ARQ with MAX sublayer, power control and link adaptation, implicit support for interference coordination, support for both FDD and TDD, channel dependent scheduling and link adaptation for enhanced performance, reduced radio access network nodes to reduce a cost, protocol release, processing time and cell setup time. Now before going towards the architecture, we will see the design parameters and standardization of LTE. So the standardization process for any mobile standard is always carried out in typically four phases: requirement, architecture, detailed specification, testing and verification. So requirement is aim of the standard is determined in this phase. In architecture, it determines the main building block and interfaces required by the standard. In detailed specification, all the interfaces are specified in detail. Testing and verification, the interface specifications are implemented with real life equipment. Then detailed specification, all the interfaces are specified in detail. Testing and verification, the interface specification are implemented with real life equipment. So all these phases are carried out in iterations and they are usually overlapping. 3GPP is a partnership project formed by standard bodies like ETSI, ARIB, TTC, ACCSA and ATIS. 3GPP consists of four technical specification group: TSG, 3GPP, TSG RAN, that is Radio Access Network, and has developed LTE and LTE Advanced. Also 3GPP and they started the LTE project in 2004 and the project was about evolution of 3GUMTS, which was also 3GPP project. It has many releases as per the differences in specification. It will allow the enhancement in the cellular communication service to cater the growing demands of the technology, speed, security, etc. This leads to the development of LTE Advanced. So the function tree is the main work of the LT started with the release of 8. So there are some releases, that is release 99, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They have their own technology specifications. So the main work of LTE started with the release of release 8. Before the LTE feasibility study was done, in that the study high level requirement of LTE SAE are included, such as reduced cost per bit, provision of better service, flexible use of the current and new spectrum, simplified network architecture with open interface, and reasonable power consumption. So the main requirement of LTE SAE are enlisted in 3GPP document. It can be summarized as increased downlink and uplink peak data rates, scalable channel bandwidth of 1.4 MHz, 3 MHz, 5 MHz, 10, 15 and 20 in both uplink and downlink. The spectral efficiency improves as compared to previous releases. So there is a coexistence with legacy standard and flexible performance depending on a mobile speed. Then before going to the architecture, the frequency band in LTE. When LTE was first implemented in release 8, it inherited all frequency bands of UMTS plus added few new ones. It has the integration of FDD and TDD mode. With the integration of TDD scheme, new 8 bands were added, and many of the frequency bands are overlapping or subsets of one another. Hence, the coverage is not an issue with LTE, but the practical implementation of the combination of filtering required for frequency band is major problem. So on the top of it, bandwidth, duplex spacing and gap between uplink and downlink are also the challenges in designing of a filters, as these are variable parameters in LTE. The designing of antenna is also a challenge in this, as large coverage for all supported bands is expected. So variable duplex spacing allows variable relationships between uplink and downlink, which increases the flexibility in deployment, but it also increases the complexity in the equipment design and network operation. Now the next part is LTE architecture. So this diagram shows the LTE network architecture. The network architecture of LTE is based on a functional decomposition principles. Hence, the required specifications are decomposed into different functional entities. Therefore, 3GPP developed a new packet core, the evolved packet core network architecture, to support the ETRAN. Now, the interfaces S1 to S11 and X2 are used for reliable packet routing and seamless integration in the network. There are some main components of the network, that is user component, evolved node B, evolved packet core, mobility management entity, serving gateway and PDN gateway. So user equipment means this is a device connected to the BS, that is base station, which is an integral part of the ENB via RF channel. Then evolved node B, that is ENB, it consists of base station. The communicating base station is known as serving ENB. It connects to the EPC through through S1 interface and it is connected to the other base stations through X2 interface. So its functions are radio resource management for both uplink and downlink, IP header compression, encryption of user data, selection of MME, routing of user data, paging, scheduling, measurement, broadcasting. Then EPC, it comprises of MME, that is second serving gateway, and third PDN gateway. The function of EPC are subscriber charging, policy control for user data flow, connecting to external service, subscriber management, and providing quality of service. Then MME, the functions performed by it are signaling and security control, tracking area management, intercore network signaling for mobility between 3GPP access network, and EPS, that is Evolved Packet System Bearer Management. Then roaming and authentication with the help of HSS, that is Home Subscriber Server. It is a database of subscriber and it helps MME in the user authentication, mobility management, call setup, and access authorization. Then SGW, that is Serving Gateway. The functions of it are, it consists of handle ENB handover, packet data routing, quality of service, user billing activities, lawful interception, transport level packet marketing or marking. It actually serves as a router for forwarding the data packet between the user equipment and a PDN gateway. Then PGW or PDN gateway. This gateway is connected to the outside global network, for example internet, and its functions are IP address allocation, routing packets to and from PDN, and subscriber charging. So next point is LTE frame structure. Now the LTE frame structure, the frame structure in LTE system is different for FDD and TDD scheme. So for FDD the type 1 frame structure is used on, for TDD type 2. Now FDD frame structure in LTE, the downlink and uplink frames are allocated in different carriers. As the LTE uses OFDM with multiple subcarrier, the spacing used between carriers is equal to 15 kilohertz. So the one element which is shared by the LTE downlink and uplink is the generic frame structure. The LTE specification defines both FDD and TDD modes of operation, and this generic frame structure is used with FDD. The alternative frame structure defined for the use of TDD. The LTE frames are 10 milliseconds in duration and they are divided into 10 subframes, each subframe being 1 millisecond long. Each subframe is further divided into two slots, each of 0.5 millisecond duration. So the slot consists of either 6 or 7 OFDM symbols depending on whether the normal or extended cyclic prefix is employed. LT is highly optimized, spectrally efficient, mobile OFDM solution built from the group up for mobility, and it allows operators to offer advanced services and higher performance for new and wider bandwidth. The LTE is based on a flattened IP based network architecture which improves the network latency, and it is designed to interoperate on and ensure a service continuity with the existing 3GPP network. The LTE is the leverage the benefits of existing 3G technologies and enhances them further with additional antenna techniques such as higher order MIMO. So the radio frame duration for this 10 milliseconds, one frame consists of 20 slots, one frame has 10 subframe. The subframe duration is 1 millisecond and single time slot is 0.5 millisecond. So each frame subframe is 2 into 0.5 millisecond time slots, that is single time slot consists of 6 or 7 OFDM symbol depending on a cyclic prefix length, and the single OFDM signals 67 microseconds, that is 2048, that is slot duration. So since normal CP, that is cyclic prefix, is 4.69 microseconds, the 7 OFDM symbols can be placed in one time slot, but when CP is extended to 16.67 microseconds, then 6 OFDM symbols are placed in one time slot. The subframes are used for resource allocation and slots are used for synchronization. A frequency hopping is possible at slot and subframe level. In LTE, the resources are allocated on the basis of units of physical resource block. So 1 RPRB, that is 12 subcarriers, one time slot. For the first slot of the subframe, UE is specified and taken second slot onwards, implicit allocation is implemented. For example, if the ENB specifies 1 RB as a resource allocation for UE, then the UA actually uses 2 RBs, 1 RB in each of the time slot of subframe. When the frequency hopping is turned on, the actual PRBs that carry the UE data can be different in 2 slots. Then the TDD frame structure in LTE. For TDD type 2 frame is used. For downlink and uplink transmission, same carrier is used. One frame 10 milliseconds, one radio frame 2 half frame. One half frame is 5 milliseconds. 1 millisecond subframe, 8 time slots, each of 0.5 milliseconds. So the slots are used to transmit uplink transmission, downlink transmission, and pilot signal transmission. The pilot signal transmission is done periodically. Each pilot time slot consists of downlink pilot transmission time slot and uplink pilot transmission time slot. So they are used for downlink and uplink resource purpose. So in between the downlink and uplink pilot transmission time slot, the GP, that is guard period, is present to provide the sufficient time gap for switching between uplink and downlink carriers. So different configurations of TDD frame structures are available to deal with a variable traffic condition. The TDD frame structure support 2 switch point periodicity parameters, 5 millisecond, 10 millisecond. The different configurations from 0 to 6 are defined by 3GPP for LTE standard. The radio of uplink to downlink time slot can be set from 1:1 to 1:8. So in LTE architecture, UE means user equipment, ENB is evolved node B, MME means mobility management entities, then SGW is serving gateway, PGW is PDN gateway, PDN is packet data network, EPC is evolved packet core, and SGSN is serving GPRS support node. Channel bandwidth which is supported in LTE. LTE supports 6 different channel bandwidths. So these are 1.4 MHz, 3 MHz, 5, 10, 15 and 20 MHz. And it support for multiple channel bandwidth which allows the deployment flexibility to LTE's network as compared to previous generation system. The wider channel bandwidth like 10 MHz, 15 and 20 MHz provides a better scheduling opportunities which in turn increase the system performance. So there are some advantages of 4G. It provides a faster speed of the downloading files over a wireless network, the best voice quality compared to a previous generation, Then easy to access to internet, IM, social network, streaming media, video calling, etc. It supports higher bandwidth, hence better spectrum utilization, and 4G in 10 times faster than 3G. Then there are some disadvantages of 4G. The new infrastructure changes are required. Expensive data services for user and new mobile handset is required. So in the next lecture we will see the information related to 5G.